Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're speaking to all of you who have experienced emotional hurt from a man in your life. That feeling when someone you care about has let you down, betrayed your trust, or caused you pain. In this video, we'll explore powerful psychological techniques to regain control when someone has hurt you emotionally. These aren't strategies for revenge or manipulation. They're about reclaiming your power and creating healthy boundaries when you've been hurt. What I'm about to share works because it disrupts the expected script that plays out when someone hurts you. Instead of following the predictable path, you'll learn how to change the dynamic completely. When someone hurts us, our natural reactions typically fall into three categories: anger, pleading, or withdrawal. When we respond with anger, we often give the other person justification for their actions. "See, this is why I did what I did. You're so emotional." When we plead or try to make them understand our pain, we put ourselves in a position of weakness, essentially begging for care from the very person who hurt us. And when we withdraw completely, we often suffer in silence, while the other person experiences no consequences for their actions. Here's what most people don't realize. These predictable responses give power to the person who hurt you. They're expecting these reactions, and they've already prepared their defenses. In psychology, there's a concept called pattern interruption. It's a technique that disrupts an established pattern of thought or behavior. When you interrupt a pattern, you create a space for new possibilities. This is where strategic confusion comes in. By responding in unexpected ways, you disrupt the script the other person expects to play out. This isn't about being manipulative. It's about changing a dynamic that isn't serving you and reclaiming your emotional power. The first technique is what I call the unexpected calm. When someone hurts you, they're often braced for your emotional reaction, whether that's tears, anger, or accusations. Instead, respond with unusual calmness. Not coldness, but a genuine, centered calm that comes from a place of self-respect. Here's an example. Imagine your partner forgets an important anniversary. Instead of expressing disappointment or anger, you might say, "I noticed you forgot our anniversary. I want you to know that's important to me, and I've decided to still have a good day regardless." This response creates cognitive dissonance. The person who hurt you was expecting an emotional reaction they could either defend against or use to justify their behavior. Your calm response gives them nothing to push against. To maintain authentic composure, focus on your breathing before responding. Remember that your worth isn't determined by their actions, and you're choosing your response rather than reacting automatically. The second technique is the perspective flip. Instead of defending yourself or explaining why you're hurt, respond with genuine curiosity about their behavior. Rather than saying, "How could you do this to me?" try what was going through your mind when you made that decision. Other powerful questions include, what were you hoping would happen? What need were you trying to meet? How did you think this would affect our relationship? These questions aren't accusatory, they're information gathering. They force the other person to examine and articulate their own behavior, often leading them to recognize the impact of their actions without you having to point it out. This approach also benefits your emotional well-being because it moves you from a victim position to an observer position. You're no longer just reacting to what happened to you. You're seeking to understand the full picture. If you're finding these techniques valuable, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to join our community. In the coming weeks, we'll be exploring more strategies for maintaining your power in relationships, including an in-depth video on setting boundaries that actually work. Subscribers will be the first to know when these resources become available, so make sure you're part of our community. Our third technique is strategic distance. This involves creating space without explanation when someone has hurt you. Most people either cling tighter when hurt or dramatically announce their departure. Strategic distance is different. It's about quietly stepping back to gain perspective and demonstrate your independence. When you create unpredictable availability, you interrupt the pattern of taking you for granted. You're not playing games, you're genuinely taking space to reconnect with yourself and your worth. Here are some guidelines. First, don't announce your distance as punishment. Simply become less available. Second, use this time to genuinely invest in yourself and other relationships. Third, return to interactions when you feel centered, not when you think they've learned their lesson. For example, one client discovered her partner had been dishonest about finances. Instead of confronting him immediately, she took a weekend trip to visit her sister. When she returned, she approached the conversation from a place of clarity rather than raw hurt. The fourth technique is reframing the narrative. This is about changing the language you use to describe what happened, both to yourself and others. Instead of, "He broke my heart," try, "This showed me where I need stronger boundaries." Instead of, "He disrespected me," try, "I learned what behavior I'm unwilling to accept." Instead of, "He made me feel worthless," try, "This experience revealed where I need to strengthen my self-worth." These reframes aren't about denying your pain. They're about placing yourself as the main character in your story, rather than the victim of someone else's actions. When you change your narrative, you confuse someone who expected you to be defined by the hurt they caused. They prepared for you to be devastated, and instead you're focused on your growth and learning. Now let's talk about when these techniques are appropriate versus when to seek professional help. These approaches work well for everyday relationship hurts and disappointments. However, if you're experiencing abuse, persistent disrespect, or behavior that threatens your safety or mental health, please work with a professional. It's important to distinguish between healthy boundary setting and manipulation. The goal of these techniques isn't to play mind games or to hurt the other person back. It's to interrupt unhealthy patterns and create space for either healing the relationship or healing yourself. Remember that the ultimate goal is your healing and well-being. These aren't tactics for revenge. They're strategies for reclaiming your power and creating healthier relationship dynamics moving forward. We've explored 4 powerful techniques today. The unexpected calm, which disrupts the expected emotional reaction. The perspective flip, which moves you from defensive to curious. Strategic distance, which creates space for clarity. And reframing the narrative, which puts you back in control of your story. Each of these approaches works because they interrupt predictable patterns and shift the power dynamic in your favor. They move you from reactive to responsive, from victim to creator of your experience. If this video helped you regain some control in your relationships, please subscribe and share with someone who might need these strategies. Our community is growing, and we're dedicated to providing resources that help you create healthier relationships. For additional support, check out our free relationship resources linked in the description below. Next week, we'll be talking about identifying early warning signs of emotional manipulation. You won't want to miss it. Remember, how you respond to hurt is where your true power lies. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always choose how you respond.